When you think of a German movie, the first that comes to mind is probably All Quiet on the Western Front, because it was the last successful German film in over a century. That's because it was a Netflix production, as strange as that may sound. The thing with Netflix is that they are notorious for not talking into ideas and giving more creative control to the talent behind the camera. Of course, that's one of the reasons why there is so much of the same on their platform.
Thank you, Netflix, for supporting us.
But too many demands and opinions aren't always helpful either. German cinema is proving this very well at the moment. In Germany we don't have a studio system like the US has. To be able to make a movie, you need to get money from the Filmförderung or film funding.
But could you pay me in advance?
The film funding was introduced in European countries in the 1950s. It was intended for multiple purposes: to support artistically and culturally valuable feature films, TV films, up-and-coming filmmakers as well as their debut films, and genres that would otherwise be disadvantaged by the market. But they also served as a means for European films to counter the replacement by US productions. Those could be distributed in Europe at little additional cost and were a small risk since they mostly earned their production budget in the US, and releases in Europe, Asia or South America only increased the growth even further.
Welcome to Germany.
Auf Wiedersehen, asshole.
Germany has over 16 different funding institutions by now. For example, the German Film Funding Fund, the Film and TV Fund of Bavaria, the Media Board Berlin-Brandenburg, or the Film and Media Foundation NRW. These institutions, not only those named, usually grant conditionally repayable and interest-free loans for a movie production. Most non-English EU movies have to make money in the country they were produced in due to the variety of languages all over Europe.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
An international export is mostly not profitable from a financial point of view, especially as the film funding is the main source of budget. The average production of a German film is around 3 million euros. To give you some perspective, an average Blumhouse production costs about $10 to $12 million, and they are renowned for their low-cost movie making. In order to get the budget for your production, you usually have to be granted several funds. But because they are run by ministries, they obviously come with a condition that you must fulfill. Let's look at the Bavarian Film and TV Fund, for example. After submitting your form, which must include a distributor plan, script, the calculations of a finance plan, proof of acquisition of the film rights, as well as a cast and crew list, you get a response within 1 or 2 months depending on the time frame you submit your request. Then you can get up to 2 million euros from this fund alone, but it can only be a maximum of 30% of the total production cost. Additionally, at least 150% of the fund must be spent in Bavaria. So if you would get a fund of the full 2 million euros, you must spend a minimum of 3 million in Bavaria alone. And since we only got a maximum of 30% of our budget, we would need to go to more funding institutions, which explains why there's always a wall of text of funding institutions in front of every movie. Since they are run by ministries, they are primarily interested in the financial success of the film, so they would get their money back. To guarantee it is a success, they look at the recent years to decide what they want to support. As a result, most films can be placed in one of 2 categories. Either the films are about the First or Second World War or set during another significant event in German history, such as the division into 2 countries, or they are a comedy, which are often very awkward, feature the same stars, and have many sex-related jokes that are totally unnecessary. Or as director and screenwriter Julia von Heinz wrote in 2017, they are looking for projects with a regional connection, homeland-related material, comedy, at maximum a dramedy. Serious topics, lightly tackled, with a wink, resolution, and healing of all conflicts at the end. Or historical themes, times of crisis that happened long enough ago so that we'll no longer have to be unsettled by dealing with them in film. It doesn't really help that Kirsten Niehus has been in charge of one of the largest film funding institutions, the Media Board Berlin-Brandenburg, since 2004. In addition, the so-called director model applies in Berlin, which means that the final decision of funding does not lie within a committee but with me. So your idea can be the greatest in the world and convince everyone else along the way, but it is doomed if she doesn't like it and doesn't think it could be successful. Additionally, the consumption of alcohol, cigarettes and drugs in the films at some point became so excessive that the CEO of the German Cancer Aid spoke out to encourage that the public funds should not be used for projects that go against the health protection of the citizens. Ultimately, the original intention of offering a broad selection of genres or supporting up-and-coming talent to encourage artists in their own country has been largely forgotten. When you then see that 20% of the production of the Grand Budapest Hotel are paid for by the German Film Fund, you have to ask yourself to what extent the system is still justified. I know that I've been bashing the system in the German film a lot now, but I'd like to say that it doesn't apply to all of them. There are always wonderful films that are worth recommending, like The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, Our House, or Sun and Concrete. But unfortunately, you have to look for them too often because they just get drowned in the bigger, indifferent films that have been getting the money for the last years. Or as Christoph Waltz quoted the former actor and director Wolfgang Liebenauer, "In America, films are made like art and sold like goods, and in Germany it's the other way around."